G'day Year 10. Welcome to another short instructional video on how to use your CAS. Today is a really valuable one. We're going to be defining functions using the CAS, and it's going to save you so much algebra. So I really want you to tune into this one. This is a really good one. So the last section of our topic on straight line graphs is on linear modeling, where we need to work out an equation for a particular situation and then use that equation to calculate various things. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Just before we get started, if you could make sure that you've got your CAS with you, a pen and paper, your finger on the pause button for the video, so you can pause and make sure that you're keeping up with me. Yeah, away we go. So this is the situation we're looking at. An employee gets paid $20 plus 10 hours, $10 for each hour of work. If he earns C dollars for T hours of work, complete the following. So here's the things that we've got to do. We've got to define a rule for C, for the cost, in terms of T, for the number of hours he works. And then we're going to use that rule to do some quick calculations. And this is where the algebra gets saved. So we're going to define a rule for what the cost is in terms of T. So what we do is we write C in terms of T, yeah? And we're going to say equals, so he gets paid $20 for just for turning up. Before he does any hours of work, he gets paid $20. And then on top of that, he gets $10 for every hour he works. So $10 times every hour he works. So the rule is C of T equals $20 plus 10T. And we'll be doing some work on working out how to define those functions in class. And if you didn't follow that, don't worry too much, because the main focus of today is, once we've found our rule, let's stick it in the CAS and use the CAS to do some of the algebra, the heavy lifting for us. All right. And here's what we do. We go to the main menu. We've got some other stuff there from last time. We can just clear that out. That's no problem. Now, we're going to go to keyboard. We're going to go to Math 3, and we're going to use this define function. So define, we're going to actually program a function into our calculator, and it goes like this. So we're going to go the cost C equals 20 plus 10T. Done. Finished. Oh, beg your pardon. Sorry, forgive me. I have to write, it's a function of T. So that's an easy mistake to make. C is a function of T, and it equals 20 plus 10T. Done. And the calculator says, yep, gotcha. All right. So now what's happened is this function, C of T, is recorded in the calculator. It'll be in your calculator too. So the next table is going to be really easy for us to complete. So we're going to complete the table to find out the cost associated with different hours worked. So how much does it cost if he works 0 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours? All right, so what I'm going to do over here in my calculator is just use this function that I've already defined, C, and stick different values of T in. So I'm going to write C of 0. I'm pretty sure it's going to be 20 because they gave us that up front. So C of 0 is 20. So in my table here, I can write $20. How much is it going to cost if he works 5 hours? Let's type C of 5. There we go. Bang. He's going to earn $70. The cost is going to be $70. What about if he works 10 hours? Let's go C of 10. Bang. He gets $120. $120. And if he works a 20-hour day, don't ask me how anyone would ever work a 20-hour day, but if he did, he would get C of 20. He would earn $220. So you just saved yourself a whole lot of algebra completing that table just by using a function that you've defined. Now, let's combine our solve function that we already know how to use and the new function that we've defined, I should say. So in the next table, what we've got to do is answer this question: how many hours do we get? Complete the table below to find out how many hours of work for different costs. So if the cost was 50, how many hours did he work? If he cost us 100, if he earned 100, how many hours did he work? If the amount he earned was 150, how many hours did he work? So let's use the solve function. And we're going to go solve, just like we've been doing. We're going to solve C of t, that's our function, equals 50, and we want to know what t equals. When C of t, which we've defined, is 50, bang, he worked 3 hours. 3 hours. And we can do that again. We're going to go, oopsie, 3 hours. We're going to copy that one down, put it down. What about when he worked 100 hours? 100 hours, solving for t, C of t equals 100. He worked 8 hours. So we go back into our table and go 8 hours. Let's do it again. This time I might, just for a change, I might write it out again. Solve when our newly defined function C of t equals, in this case, 150. And solving for t, what does t equal when C of t equals 150? It equals 13 hours. 13 hours. And lastly, let's do the same thing again when he earned $180. $180, t equals 16 hours. So, we've learned how to define functions. We did that up here. We used the define button in the Math3 window. We defined our function. Then we can use that function to find the output for different inputs. In this case, it was the cost for different hours. And then we can combine the solve function with our newly defined function to work out what input must have been to deliver a certain output. In this case, how many hours must have been worked to deliver a certain amount of cost. So lots of algebra saved. I hope that was useful. As usual, please send me any feedback or questions, and I look forward to seeing you soon.